with a short video segment explaining the history of Black History Month.
African American history dates back to the colonial period, when Africans were brought to the colonies as slaves. Yet Black history was largely ignored by historians and the general public until the 20th century. At the forefront of the push to bring Black history into public consciousness was a scholar and son of former slaves, Dr. Carter G. Woodson. Born in Virginia in 1875, Carter Woodson escaped poverty through education, ultimately receiving a doctorate from Harvard University in 1912. Throughout his studies, Woodson had noticed that the role of African Americans in American history was either misrepresented or missing altogether from the history books. Determined to encourage Black studies and tell the stories of his people, he founded the Association for the Study of Negro Life in 1915. A year later, he began publishing the Journal of Negro History, now known as the Journal of African American History. Page by page, African Americans wrote themselves back into the history books. Encouraged by a swell of support, Woodson organized the first annual Negro History Week in 1926 for the second week of February, to coincide with the birthdays of both Abraham Lincoln and Frederick Douglass. The civil rights movement of the 1960s reflected the growing pride and cultural identity among the Black community. By the nation's bicentennial in 1976, African Americans were embracing their heritage and reminding America that Black was beautiful. 26 years after Carter Woodson's death, Negro History Week became Black History Month as part of the bicentennial celebration. Dr. Carter Woodson left an indelible mark. His work ensured the long and rich histories of African Americans would never be forgotten. Black History Month continues his legacy. We honor the people and their achievements in celebration of the African American experience.
During the time of the Underground Railroad, many slaves could not read. Songs were used to help them remember and secretly pass on information about ways to escape to freedom by going north to Canada. In our song, the drinking gourd stands for the Big Dipper. This constellation in the night sky helps people to find the North Star.
In music class with Mrs. Carlson, we third graders learned the song Follow the Drinking Gourd. Please listen closely to the verses as we sing. You will hear words that could stand for landmarks that the escaping slaves would watch out for a long time.
Will Black History Month Assembly, we want to celebrate the African Americans who were poets, and there were really individuals that blazed the trail after slavery had ended, because poetry was something that African Americans weren't really expected to do, and it was really looked down upon. But these individuals expressed the struggles of slave life and the conditions they had to bear during slavery, and we're going to read a couple poems for you.
The Slave Mother by Frances Harper. Heard you that shriek? It rose, so wildly in the air. It seemed as if a burdened heart was breaking in despair. Saw you those hands, so sadly clasped? They bowed a feeble head, the shuddering of the fragile form, the look of grief and dread. Saw you the sad, imploring eye? It was as every glance was pain, as if a storm of agony were sweeping through the brain. She is a mother, pale with fear. Her boy clings to her side, and in her girdle vainly tries his trembling form to hide. He is not hers, although she bore for him a mother's pains. He is not hers, although her blood is coursing through his veins. He is not hers, for cruel hands may rudely tear apart the only wreath of household love that binds her broken heart. His love has been a joyous light that o'er her pathway smiled, a fountain gushing ever new in life's desert quiet. His lightest word has been but a tone of music round her heart. Their lives a streamlet bend. Oh fire, must they part? Thank you.
On liberty and slavery. Alas, am I born for this? To wear this slavish chain, deprived of all created bliss, through hardship, toil, and pain. How long have I in bondage lain, and languished to be free? Alas, and must I still complain, deprived of liberty? O heaven, and is there no relief, this side the silent grave, to soothe the pain, to quell the grief and anguish of a slave? Come liberty, thou cheerful sound, roll through my ravaged ears. Come let my grief and joys be drowned, and drive away my fears. Say unto foul oppression, cease, ye tyrants, rage no more, and let thou joyful trump of peace now bid the vassal soar. Soar on the pinions of that dove, which has long cooed for thee, and breathes from her notes from Afric's grove the sound of liberty. O liberty, thou golden prize, so often sought by blood, we crave thy sacred sunrise, the gift of nature's God. Bid slavery hide her haggard face and barbarism fly. I scorn to see the sad disgrace in which enslaved I lie. Dear liberty, upon thy breast I languish to respire, and like the swan unto her nest, I to thy smile retire. O blessed asylum, heavenly balm, and to thy boughs I flee, and in thy shades the storms shall calm, the songs of liberty.
Hi, my name is Charles, and I'll be doing a poem by Maya Angelou called Cage Bird. A free bird leaps on the back of the wind and floats downstream till the current ends, and dips his wings in the orange sun rays and dares to claim the sky. But a bird that stalks about his narrow cage can seldom see through his bars of rage. His wings are clipped and his feet are tied, so he opens his throat to sing. The caged bird sings with a fearful trill over things unknown but mournful still, and his tune is heard on a distant hill, for the caged bird sings of freedom. The free bird thinks of another breeze, and the trade winds soft through the silent trees, and the fat worms waiting on the dawn bright lawn, and he names the sky his own. When the caged bird stalks on the stands on the grave of dream, his shadow shouts on the nightmare scream. His wings are clipped and his feet are tied, so he opens his throat to sing. The caged bird sings with a fearful trill, of things unknown but long for still, and his tune is heard on the distant hill, for the caged bird sings of freedom. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Tatiana St. Clair, and I will be performing the song At Last by Beyonce, but it was originally by Etta James.
My name is Olga. My name is Olga. That's Maya, and that's Sophie. We're singing Dream a Little Dream of Me, made famous by Ella Fitzgerald and Louis Armstrong.
Oh, you can snap one and clap or sing along if you want.
And we're singing it a cappella.
You may write me down in history with your bitter twisted lies. You may trod me in the very dirt, but still like dust I'll rise. Does my sassiness upset you? Why are you beset with glue? 'Cause I walk like I've got oil wells pumping in my living. Just like moons and suns with the certainty of tides, just like hope springing high, still I'll rise. Did you want to see me broken, bowed head and lowered eyes, shoulders falling down like teardrops, weakened by my soulful cries? Does my haughtiness offend you? Don't you take it awful hard, 'cause I laugh like I've got gold mines digging in my own backyard. You may shoot me with your words, you may cut me with your eyes, you may kill me with your hatefulness, but still, like air, I'll rise. Out of the huts of history's shame, I rise. Up from a past that's rooted in pain, I rise. I'm a black ocean, leaping and wide, welling and swelling, I bear in the tide, leaving behind nights of terror and fear, I rise. Into a daybreak that's wondrously clear, I rise. Bringing the gifts that my ancestors gave, I am the dream and the hope of the slave, I rise. I rise.
And we'll be singing a poem for Black History Month, written by Mandela Compare.
Black is the color of coal, a substance that is worth as much as gold.
Black is the color of the night in which the stars I see so bright.
Black is the color of power. Black is the color of my desire.
Black is the color that set us free. Black is the color of my beauty.
Black is the color of my skin. Black is the world I believe in.
Black may be the color that gets you down, but black is the color that makes me proud. 40 years ago, a dream was told. For me, for you, beautiful, equally bold.
My father kept that dream in his hope. My mother sang that dream with her logo.
2, I have a dream now. One day, my father, mother, brothers, and sisters will come living this dream together.
Same dream made told 40 years ago.
My name is Elijah Moss, and I'll be doing a poem by Joshua Bennett, and it's called Tomorrow Selfish. It's basically explaining how he's apologizing to his sister because his sister was deaf and he never took the time to learn sign language, so he could never talk to her and communicate with her. Tamara has never listened to hip hop. Has never danced to the rhythm of raindrops or fallen asleep to a chorus of chirping crickets. She has been deaf for as long as I've been alive. Whenever Sister Dara first turned 5, my father had said, Joshua, nothing is wrong with tomorrow. God just makes something different. And at that moment, those 9 letters felt like hammers, swung gracefully by unholy hands to shatter my stained glass innocence. The shards that could never be pieced back together could do anything more to sever the ties between my sister and I waited, was patient numberless years, anticipating the second her ears would open like lotuses, allow my sunlight sentences to seep into her insides. And remember all those conversations we must have had back when God had handpicked us to be sibling souls centuries ago. I still remember her 20th birthday. Rarely recall my awestruck beloved eyes as I watched deaf men and women of all ages dance to the unison speakers booming so loud that I imagined angels chastising us for disturbing the worship of such beautiful blasphemy. Until you have seen a deaf girl dance, you know nothing of passion. There was a barricade between us that I never took the time to destroy, never even for a moment that to pick up the book and look up beside my sister, for family, for goodbye, I will see you again. Someday, remember the face of your little brother. It is now that I see that I was never willing to put in the extra effort to love her properly. So as the only person in my family who was not fluent in sign language, I decided to take this time to apologize. Tamara, I am sorry for my silence, but true love knows no frequencies. So I will use these hands to speak volumes that can never be contained within the boundaries of the sound waves. I will shout at the top of my fingertips until digits dance and relate to mental messages directly to your soul. I know that there is no poem that can make up for all the time we have lost. So please, if you can, just listen.
Good afternoon. Our combined forces will be presenting 2 songs today. Both are medleys of well-known spiritual songs. Our first piece, This Train Goes Marching In, combines This Train is Bound for Glory and When the Saints Go Marching In. The arrangement is by Sandy Fellowstein. Our second piece, Round the Riverside, was arranged by Sandra Berry Mustard and features portions of Peace Like a River and Down by the Riverside.
My name is Savannah. I'm going to read this poem called What Should I Tell My Children Who Are Black by Dr. Martin Ross. What should I tell my children who are black of what it means to be captive in this dark skin? What should I tell my dear ones, fruit of my womb, oh how beautiful they are when they, everywhere they turn they are faced with the horrors of everything that is black. The night is black and so is the boogeyman. Villains are black with black hearts, a black cow gives no milk, and a black hen lays no eggs. Storm clouds, black, black is evil, and evil is black, and the devil's food is black. What should I tell my dear ones, raised in a white world, a place where white has surely been to represent all that is good, purifying and descent, where clouds are white, and dolls, and heaven and surely is white. White place with angels robed in white, and cotton candy, and ice cream, and milk, and ruffled Sunday dresses, and dream houses, and long sleek Cadillacs, and angels' food is white, all white. What can I say, therefore, when my child comes home in tears because a playmate has called him black, big lips, flat nose, and nappy-headed? What will he think when I dry his tears and whisper, yes, that's true, but no less than beautiful? How shall I lift up his head and get him to square his shoulder and look into advertisings in his eye? Confidence in the knowledge of his work, serene under his sable skin and proud of his own beauty. What can I do to give him strength, that he may come through life's adversities as a human being wrapped in a human world, obeys laws and inhuman practices that he might survive. And survive he must, for who knows, perhaps this black child here bears the genius to discover the cure for cancer, or chart the course for exploration of the universe. So he must survive for the good of all humanity.
We are going to read a story of an anthropologist studying the habits and customs of an African tribe found himself surrounded by children most days. So he decided to play a little game with them. He managed to get candy from the nearest town and put it all in a decorating basket on the foot of a tree. Then he called the children and suggested they play the game. When the anthropologist said no, the children had to run to the tree, and the first one to get there could have all the candy to him or herself. So the children all lined up waiting for the signal. When the anthropologist said now, all the children took each other by the hand and ran together towards the tree. They all arrived at the same time, divided up the candy, sat down, and began to happily munch away. The anthropologist went over to them and asked them why they had all run together when any one of them could have had all the candy to themselves. The children responded, Ubuntu. How could any of us be happy if all the others were sad? Ubuntu is a philosophy of African tribes that can be summed up as, I am what I am because of who we all are.
In celebration of Black History Month and to support our school's theme of peace, we want to introduce you to the African philosophy of Ubuntu. Archbishop Desmond Tutu described Ubuntu this way. Africans have a thing called Ubuntu. It is about the essence of being human. It is part of the gift that Africa will give the world. It embraces hospitality, caring about others, being willing to go the extra mile for the sake of another. We believe that a person is a person through other persons, that my humanity is caught up, bound up, inextricably with yours. When I dehumanize you, I inexorably dehumanize myself. A solitary human being is a contradiction in terms. Therefore, you seek to work for the common good because your humanity comes into its own in community and belonging. In other words, none of us can be human all by ourselves. We need each other. Thank you.
Tap dancing is celebrated as an African art form. There have been many great African American tap dancing legends such as Sammy Davis Jr., Gregory Hines, and Savion Glover. But most important for my family is Mr. Jimmy Payne Sr., who came to Chicago in 1947, bringing the wildly popular styles of African and Afro-Cuban drumming and dancing with him. His son, Jimmy Payne Jr., still follows in his footsteps today and taught my mom to tap dance while she was attending Columbia College downtown. Now, if I may, I would like to do some dancing for you. My music is a song called Tuxedo Junction.
One, two, three.
prison. Here are some clues. I was born in Kentucky in 1942, and my parents named me Cassius Clay. I am considered one of the greatest athletes in boxing history. I started with amateur boxing and won a gold medal on the Olympics in Rome, Italy in 1960. And when I turned professional and won all my matches, most of it being my knockout, in 1964 I became the heavyweight champion of the world. My favorite quote about myself was quote about the butterfly sting like a bee. I retired from boxing in 1980, and I'm still very active publicly, and I remain true to the causes I believe in. I continue to live like a true champion. Who can guess who I am?
We didn't know there would be a powerful
I'm going to play David Suzuki on the violin. My performance is dedicated to a talented African-American violinist named Regina Carter. Miss Carter is my jazz violin performer and teacher.
I'm a junior here, and I'm really honored to be able to speak at this assembly. I actually wrote my own spoken word piece, so I'm going to share it with you guys today. Woo! It doesn't have a title, it's just untitled. It's 2013, the land of freedom and opportunity, yet society continues to misconstrue the African American identity. When the subject arises, they associate blacks with Harlem, Compton, prison, gang violence, and poverty. While these are all prevalent issues to address, this community should really be remembered for its vast success and progress. Since the cruel slavery days, segregated by the Jim Crow laws and brutally tortured under racist organizations like the KKK, disenfranchised and denied their due civil liberties, struck with overt hate, unequal standards, and savage bigotry, manipulated, exploited, robbed of any sense of security, between lynchings and bondage of the body and spirit, their struggle was real, undeniably. But over time, the suffering and pain brought them together. With their faith, passion for freedom, and strength, they became more resilient than ever. Perseverant and united, they overcame the obstacles of discrimination and inequality. Their journey was long and arduous, but they prevailed with hope and humility for what the future would hold, and little did they know that it would be so prosperous and bold, enlivened and revered by the well-known Martin Luther King Jr., Malcolm X, and Rosa Parks. But let's not forget the lesser-known heroes whose accomplishments are in the same revolutionary ballpark. Dr. Charles Drew, whose invention of the blood tank transformed the medical profession, or Olympic track superstar Jesse Owens, whose talent challenged Hitler's race perception. How about Garrett Morgan, who designed the first traffic signal and gas mask? Or Shirley Chisholm, the first African-American woman elected to Congress? Certainly no small task. Ever hear of Matthew Alexander Henson, one of the first ever to explore the North Pole, or the North African pioneer of the southwest frontier named Estevanico? Does the name Dr. May C. Jemison ring a bell, the first African-American woman in space, or the beloved Thurgood Marshall, who fought earnestly on the Brown versus Board education case? Tell me you're familiar with W.E.B. Du Bois, who campaigned for simultaneous social and economic equity, or Louis Armstrong, whose musical genius rejuvenated life and brought adventure and felicity. Fast forward to today, where we have an African-American president. Regardless of your political ideology or alliance, can we once and for all acknowledge that Obama set the precedent for young African-Americans to be able to fulfill their dreams and occupy high positions? To follow the footsteps of dynamic CEOs like Kenneth Frazier, philanthropists like Oprah, and entrepreneurs like Russell Simmons. The African-American community and story is inspiring, to say the least. Their culture is abound with vibrant traditions, rituals, and unique philosophies. And to think that this community has achieved so much in so little time and have yet to reach their peak. It's an absolute honor to be remembering their courageous past and celebrating their bright future during this special month. It's been a privilege to grow up alongside members of this community, share in their ambitious endeavors, and partake in their triumph. And so, it troubles me a little bit when I hear people complain that their race, ethnicity, or religion isn't honored during the year. Look at it from a historical perspective. What other race has been so deeply connected to this nation's crusade for social justice and its commitment to eradicating immoral malice? Latinos, Asians, Arabs, have no fear. America will honor you next. But for the time being, let's join our African-American brothers and sisters as they celebrate their existence and salute their diligence. God bless.
Hello, my name is Robert King, and I will be reciting an excerpt of Malcolm X's final speech. On February 14, 1965, the sometimes controversial but incredibly motivational Malcolm X delivered this speech the very night his home in New York was fired on. He was terribly tired and worried, yet he still showed up all the way in Detroit. This shows his extreme courage and determination. This speech demonstrates his intellect and honesty, as well as his involving ideas and understanding shortly before his death. This is an excerpt of a speech given at the Ford Auditorium in Detroit, Michigan. It was Malcolm X's last speech. Distinguished guests, brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, friends and enemies. I want to point out first that I'm very happy to be here this evening, and I was very thankful for the invitation to come here to Detroit this evening. I was in a house last night that was bombed, my own. It wasn't something that made me lose confidence in what I was doing, because I have a wife who understands, and I have children from this size on down, and even at their young age, they understand. I think they would rather have a father or brother, or whatever the situation may be, who would rather take a stand against the reactions of narrow-minded people, rather than to compromise and later on live in shame and disgrace. I am not a racist in any form whatsoever. I don't believe in any form of racism. I don't believe in any form of segregation or discrimination. I believe in Islam. I am a Muslim. The real religion of Islam doesn't teach anyone to judge another human being by the color of their skin. The yardstick that is used in the Muslim culture to measure another man is not by the color of his skin, but by the content of his character, the man's deeds, the man's conscious behavior, the man's intentions. And when you use that as a standard of measurement or judgment, you never go wrong. But when you use just the man's color to judge another human being, you are committing a crime, because that is the worst kind of judgment. The masses of our people still have bad housing, bad schooling, and inferior jobs. Jobs that don't compensate for with sufficient salaries for them to carry on their lives in this world, leaving the masses absolutely unsolved with their problems. One of our first programs is to take the problem out of the civil rights context and place it on the international level so that the whole world can have a say in our problem and struggle. Thank you.
I'm here to talk about the history of step dancing. Stepping is a form of percussive dance in which participants' entire bodies are used as an instrument to produce rhythms and sounds through a mixture of footsteps, spoken word, and hand claps. The art of stepping has beginnings in the early African American slave community as a means of communication and keeping hold of traditional aspects of the denied culture. It served mainly as a link back to African tribal dance, which in many areas was prohibited. Call and response to folk songs helped the slaves to survive culturally and to spread word about important matters such as underground railroad. Several generations later, African American World War II veterans added military march theme into the sounds, while Motown groups and hip-hop energy added more entertainment and increased the appeal of the art form. In the late 1960s, historically black fraternities and sororities began embracing stepping at college campuses. Previously using step shows as a rite of passage for pledges, the Black Greek letter system has a strong role in the college step scene. Overall, stepping in these organizations provides an enjoyable bonding experience. Black Greek letter system has a strong role in the college step scene. Overall, stepping in these organizations provides an enjoyable bonding experience. And on that note, I'd like to welcome Nick Gordon, Jelani Woods, Josh Deans, Amber Payne, Ruben McKnight, and Lauren Adams as the MPA step team.
Mark! Woo! 5, 6, 7, 4!
Martin Luther King used lines from this poem in a lot of the speeches he gave. At the Martin Luther King groundbreaking ceremony on Monday, November 13, 2006, he even quoted from this poem because he used it so frequently in his all sermons and speeches. Be the best of whatever you are. If you can't be a pine on the top of the hill, be a shrub in the valley, but be the best little shrub at the side of the hill. Be a bush, you can't be a tree. We can't all be captains, we've got to be crew. There's something for all of us here. There's big work to do, and there's lesser to do, and the task we must do is near. If you can't be a highway, then just be a trail. If you can't be the sun, be a star. It isn't the size that you win or you fail. Be the best of whatever you are, by Anonymous.
My name is Hayden. I'm going to sing a song and then read a quote by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. You can clap or sing along if you want to. I'm gonna make the change for once in my life. Gonna feel real good, gonna make a difference, gonna make it right. And I turned up the collar on my favorite winter coat. This wind is blowing my mind. I see kids in the street. When I come to weak, all night we going, pretending not to see their need. A summer's mystery night, a broken battle time, and a one-man soul. They follow each other on the wings and know, 'cause they got nowhere to go. That's why I'm starting to know. I'm starting with the man in the mirror. I'm asking him to change his ways. And no message could have been any clearer. If you want to make the world a better place, take a look at yourself and make a change. I'm starting with the man in the mirror. I'm asking him to change his ways. And no message could have been any clearer. If you want to make the world a better place, take a look at yourself and make a change. Woo! Woo! Na 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 na. I've been a victim of a selfish kind of love. It's time that I realize that there are some with no homes, and not a nickel too long. Could it be really me pretending not to see they're alone? A willow deeply sky, somebody's broken heart, and a washed out dream. They follow each other in the wind, you see, 'cause they got no place to be. That's why I'm starting with me. I'm starting with the man in the mirror. I'm asking him to change his ways. And no message could have been any clearer. If you want to make the world a better place, take a look at yourself and make a change. Now I'm going to read the quote. You may be 38 years old, as I happen to be, and one day some great opportunity stands before you and calls you to stand up for some great principle, some great issue, some great cause. And you refuse to do it because you are afraid. You refuse to do it because you want to live longer. You're afraid that you will lose your job, or you're afraid that you will be criticized, or that you will lose your popularity. Or you are afraid that somebody will stab or shoot you or bomb your house. So you refuse to take a stand. Well, you may not go on and live until you are 90, but you're just as dead as 38 as you would be at 90. And sensation of breathing in your life is but the belated announcement of an early death of spirit. Quote, Dr. Martin Luther King.
Hi, I'm Maddie. I'm gonna read like a quote. Maya Angelou once said, Knowing your history sets you free. Most of the good stories of history are stories of people, regular people, like us, who took small steps at the right moments, without thinking of the impact their actions would have on changing the world. Each one of us has that power within ourselves to impact the world and move one step closer to living out the ideas that were set forth in the Declaration of Independence over 200 years ago, that all men are created equal. These people, and many, many more, who we honor here today for Black History Month, have done that. On their own, they changed this world. They were regular people who were tired of the way things were, and they took a stand. As a result, they altered the direction of history.
Howard Zinn, a famous historian, once said, "You can't be neutral on a moving train," meaning that history is a train that is already in motion, moving in a certain direction. That actions and choices we take on a daily basis determine which direction that train moves and how we will impact this world. Being neutral, Zinn said, is not an option. When we are neutral to history, the crisis to everyday occurrences that we elect not to get involved in or stand up for, we take the side of the oppressor, that the one doing the harm. We have the obligation to history, the others, and to ourselves to not remain neutral in these times. Take a minute now to think of and honor all the regular people who made the decision to stand up for what was right and, as a result, alter history because of that one small act.
Academy, what's up? My name is Keith Searles, aka K. Siraj, my artist name. Some of you might know my daughter, Kaylin Searles, in 6th grade over here. So she asked me to come out. I want to just share with you real quick before I start. I'm a president of a technology consulting firm by day, but also I have diverse talents. And I'm an artist, I'm an inspirational poet, and a hip-hop artist. And I love to come speak to young people and try to inspire you. So I'd love to share a couple pieces with you today. Is that all right? First we're going to start with a little spoken word. And first off, let's give it up to all the people who were up here before. They did a great job. Give it up for them. It takes a lot of courage to be up here. I probably could have done it when I was your age. So this piece is called, let me tell you about it. It's really a poem that's about giving a salute to black women throughout all of history, and it's called Admiration. Miss Ebony and Moshe exposed the essence of kind, representing divine in body, soul, and mind, refined by reflections of love's perfection. She's secure with her direction and dreams, self-image and esteem such that her whole being is embodied by joy, her personified poise, is a contagious contaminant that infects all she touches. For she hushes the hardest British critique with unique mystique that's sweet yet meek. And her complex simplicity is composed of felicity. So explicitly her subtlety muddles the bad feelings that's bubbling in any she's around. Really does her face place a frown sound or noun that conveys she's down. But do not assume she's immune to life's gloom, bad tunes and sad wounds. She feels grief is just released to a belief that takes over because Almighty Jehovah holds a cup that runneth over with immense and full pleasure principle. Quite sensible long before days of adolescence. Her discretion in essence was beckoned once she let wisdom choose her choices. So fluid in freedom's fertility through her ability to move through tough situations with agility. A sufficiently persistent submission to listen to those who position of permission and authority, exploring the world from a stance of hands. By her inner voices and inner visions, she chose to listen to those who cared most, shared most, especially our God-prepared host, who she clearly emulates, symbolizes as wise dawn in summer. This cleverly created work of wonder, sublime finesse, sunshine and flesh. Her beauty, even a blind man will express. One look into her soul holds the warmth of July skies. For in her resides a golden grace, emotion-laced spirit of the chosen faith, admiration. All right. Now, let's get into a little hip-hop. You want a little hip-hop? All right. Now, that was a wonderful montage right there. There were so many great figures throughout history. And this song is called Black Quarterback. And what it's about is anybody who's dared to dream, dared to go against the odds, dare to do something even if they couldn't see the examples out there. So we saw some black quarterbacks up there. Barack Obama, that's a black quarterback. Harriet Tubman, she was a black quarterback. So this song is about anyone who's not afraid to be it even if they can't see it. Do I have any black quarterbacks out there? Oh yeah. Black quarterbacks, that should be everybody. Right? Everybody. You don't have to be African American. All you have to do is decide you can be anything you want to be. So here's what I'm going to need you to do. I'm going to need you throughout this song to give me some energy. So I'm going to need everybody to say black quarterback with me. When I point my finger up, that's the sky, meaning the sky's the limit for us. When I point my finger up, I need you to say black quarterback. Let's try it. You ready? Black quarterback. Okay. You ready to do it? You got the DJ out there, we ready? Let's do it. Let's make the track nice and loud so we can get it cracking. Yeah. Just a little bit more. They can do anything they want to do. Sports is just reflection of society. Undeniably, there's money, politics, providence, profits, over-dominance, and providence. It's everything we dominate. Then in the pose, it's so many places to be missing. What's the motivating factor of decisions? What's the attitude and attitude? That's my attitude. It's the disposition. It's the being the truth. And what is really fiction? Balance, position, it's substance in position. It's hustle the position. The one knows quarterback, be the other. When it's sort of that, but more than that, cream of the team. It's the top title, it's made for his dreams, it's made for his life, it's why it's vital, it's over to that's what I know. So they can see on track to be, think about the facts, and the history, and the mystery of the black quarterback. Alright, everybody get ready, bring up your part, alright? I'm pointing my finger up, we're gonna say black quarterback together, alright? Ready? Ready? Hey, black quarterback. Go, black quarterback. Yo, black quarterback. Yeah. And while we have to wait until 1968 to see the first quarterback, that was last on the season. That's not good to see them. Be honest with the reason. Cause it's all freedom, we absolutely not believing. Don't tell me that we don't have the leadership abilities. Don't tell me that we lack the mental facilities. Don't tell me that we can work hard with humility. It's all just a see a whole business movement. Knowing most assuredly, we can get the job. So go out there and eliminate the bombs and brothers and this is a simple things. They can have the best grade on this. This is just a new position, a whole new definition. Smack the fact of quarterback is been about the mission. Don't talk about the mission back or running back receiver. They have to step in fetching us like a good receiver. Ready? Go where you wanna go. See what you wanna see. Ready? See what you wanna do. Be what you wanna be. Hey! Black quarterback. Go! Black quarterback. Go! Black quarterback. This song is you really good, but it is a hate. I want my son and other ones to know that they can make it. It's hard to be what you can say, it's how you can feel. It's what we go before we show the time of day is here. But this is you day, back to the solution. Up to number one, like my man can't do me. And here's the steady score that he's more than just the running. And Charles is an actor, and you're happy with the runner. So I'm becoming strings with a rise, and I want to do the best. Speak up to be exactly what they want. And not be transformed, but it's for the condition. For us, it's just for the condition. Where you wanna go? You what you wanna be? You wanna be? You can do it. You ready? Hey! Go! 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 Keep going. Yeah! Yeah! Barack Obama, Harriet Tubman, everyone in here. All right, thank you very much.